Hello, everybody. So this is Salwa. Salwa is a student in our current Grant Me program, and she has applied to a whole bunch of different schools, isn't sure where she's going yet, but is planning on studying in BC. And very recently, she won $35,000 in a scholarship. $35,000, in case that wasn't clear, in a scholarship. And so basically, we wanted to have Salwa to share her experiences with her scholarship journey and just share with you guys, what it really takes to be the type of student that can win $35,000 in scholarships, because it is definitely a process, which Salwa will share more with you about. But thank you, Salwa, for doing this. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to start, Salwa, with bring us back to where you were before you joined our program, like where you were at with like your process for thinking about scholarships and also university applications as well.
Prior to like joining GrantMe, I was very nervous, but although I was nervous, I was also very inactive. So I didn't really know any of the dates of the scholarships. I only knew like the major scholarships, like let's say Loran or like TD, which is all right, but also there's like thousands of like other like smaller or like other like just different scholarships, not just those two main ones. So I was very like, I don't know which scholarships to apply for. And also I honestly didn't think that I needed to be applying for scholarships at that time. So I joined GrantMe in about end of September, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start applying for scholarships in like the springtime, because that's when people graduate. That's when people, I just assumed that's when grade 12s applied for scholarships. So I honestly wasn't really thinking about applying like at that moment. I was just like, oh, that's something I'll do later. Like that's something I'll do, but I'll just do it whenever. And yeah, I honestly didn't know, like, although I didn't start, I wasn't confident that I would win, just because I was like, like looking at the applications, I was like, I don't think like my writing isn't that strong. Like I'm not that special. Like how, like why do I deserve this? So yeah, I was just chilling, just trying to start grade 12, and wasn't really thinking about the scholarships and university applications as much as I should have been at that time.
Right. Okay, that totally makes sense. And I think the two big takeaways from that are like, one, you thought that the process started at the end of grade 12, which I think is like this myth that students are like, oh, I don't need to do anything. When in reality, and because you've been doing the work, but like just even building like the writing skill, like the type of self-reflection that's required, building on like the initiatives that you already have, like building on your resume, like that all takes time. And so I think a lot of students think, oh, this is something, that starts in grade 12, and in actuality it starts like way before grade 12, right? Which you had been doing, because you had been working on like these awesome initiatives that you had already been involved in. And then I guess like the other thing I want you to talk a little bit more about is like your decision to join the program, because it is a tough decision and it's an investment. And I think it's something that students and definitely parents have to think about. And so like, what was that process like for you to make that decision?
So I'm actually very grateful I'm in the program right now, because before, like, just thinking back on the events that happened leading up to when me and my mom said yes to joining the program, I was very hesitant. So I do remember I joined one of the free webinar sessions with Madison, with you. And yeah, so then I kept asking, what is the price? But no one replied to me. And I was like, oh, it must be like very expensive, because they don't want to tell me. And then I remember I also did the 15-minute free call with Jason. And yeah, so then while he was talking, it was like going great. I was like, okay, this sounds like a really worthwhile program. And then we heard the price, and I was like, what? And then yeah, I didn't think that at the time, like I was like, no, like we can't do this. I wasn't really thinking of the trade-off. So I have won like 35,000 now, and then looking back, like that 1,000, just over 1,000, that does make sense. Like the money that we put in does really make sense now. But like just looking back, like at that moment, for me personally, because the main reason I am applying for scholarships is because I can't really afford to go to university, and like I don't have the funds to support myself throughout university.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the amount of money, I was like kind of caught off guard. But thankfully my mother and also Jason, they were really like encouraging. And also I think this goes back to like the having the lack of confidence. Like a lot of grade 12s like just don't apply because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can win anything. So at that time, like I really didn't believe in myself. I was like, oh, this
Mm.
is just gonna be a waste of money. I'm not gonna win anything. But thankfully with the support of my mother, who really wants me to win scholarships, and also Jason, or like everyone in the program, like it's really evident that they want us to succeed. So yeah, thankfully with like those nudges, like pushes of encouragement, really, yeah, we came to our final decision of yes
Yeah.
to join the program.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That totally makes sense. I think probably everything that you said is like fairly relatable for a lot of students. And I think it's really interesting what you said about how, it starts with like you having confidence in yourself, because I think that's what happens is like, people look at our program and then they might be thinking, I don't think I can do this. Like, will I win the money back? Can I actually do this? And like, and I just said this to you before we started the interview, like, what's so crazy about this whole thing is that you just won $35,000 and you have the opportunity to do this again for 5 more years, because the scholarship process is actually a 5-year process. So it's actually, it's insane. And the program actually, the scholarships are like a byproduct of the type of students we're trying to develop in the program, right? Which is the type of students that can win scholarships. And the purpose of our program obviously is to have results within the program. But bigger than that, much bigger than that, our vision is like, can these students have financial freedom and success for the next 5 years? Like, that's really what we're trying to do. Can you guys walk out of this with financial freedom? And it's not just about scholarships. It's about like, can you have, job opportunities? Can you, really avoid going into debt? Like, you don't have to, debt doesn't have to be your first choice. Like, and it's really, I could talk about this forever, but it's so interesting to me how for, some students and parents, it's the first instinct is debt, like student loans, like that's an easy option, right? Like they crawl to those right away. But to think about, making an investment in your education, to potentially and probably win a lot of dollars in scholarships, like that's hard, right? And yet debt is so accessible. And so I think what's so great about what you said is like, it is really like having the confidence in yourself, and probably the people around you having confidence in you too, to say like, you can do this, like you can actually do this. And your confidence, like on this call, but like really your confidence throughout the program has just like grown in like leaps and bounds, because like you see success now, right? But like you really have just grown and developed as a person. And that's like the bigger picture with our program, bigger than like the scholarships itself. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so the next question. So where are you at now? Like, I know, I guess, where are you at now, but like, what did it take to actually get here? Because like, you've won $35,000 in scholarships. You've already been accepted into most of your schools, and you're waiting to hear back on a few. And kind of like the world is your oyster now, right? Like you have a lot of opportunities. And so like, what did it take for you to get to this point? Like, you've been working, for the last like 8 months, or something like that, to really get to this point. And so like, what did that take in terms of like, your writing and, reflecting on your initiatives and like the work that's required? Like, what did that take?
I think one of the most important things it takes is the motivation, because along with the motivation will come like the perseverance, and will come like if you're motivated enough, you will set the time aside to actually write those essays, because it is really important to put in work. Like you guys put in tons of work to edit our essays and make sure they're like perfect before we send them off. But for us, like the first step, we need to be putting in tons of work into our essays and making sure that we're taking initiative to really try our best to get our applications done on time and meeting deadlines. So yeah, so I believe like with being motivated, like hopefully you'll be persistent, and also to like keep trying. Like you have to keep trying. Like I know, like I have tons of essays written, and not very many successes up until now. Like I have had the 35,000 but also I do remember like using the like very similar essay structure for like another essay. So now like in my reservoir I have tons of essays that I can use to for other future scholarships. And then now since I put in the work a few months back, like put in all that work to actually like write those essays and work with the grant me team to like edit them, like now like it's not as time consuming, and like I've really like by putting in the work then I've set myself up to be able to apply for more scholarships much more efficiently, because I have essays in my reservoir already. I hope that
Totally. Yeah, no, totally. I think you said it, like motivation and like it's a time commitment, and you kind of mentioned it too. It's like it's not like the success happens overnight, right? Like it's kind of like this builds up to, you know, is my writing improving? Do I have like you said, this reservoir of essays that you can always, you know, reuse and recycle multiple times? Have I like kind of picked out, because like for you, for example, you have like a whole bunch of like involvement in all these different initiatives, which is amazing. But one thing you've really, I think, worked on is like narrowing your focus on like what is the top initiatives that you're going to discuss. Because when you only have like a few hundred words, you do kind of have to pick and choose on like what is it that I'm gonna focus on. And so I think you definitely, yeah, you definitely answered the question, because I think it really is just like you said, it's commitment and it takes time and it's dedication and it's like being persistent, right? Because it's something that doesn't happen overnight. And you said even before we got on this that it's like a lot of yeah, it's a lot of time, and it can be hard when you're not having success right away. And then when you get success, now you're like, I want to go apply for a whole bunch more and write more essays, because it's obviously pretty uplifting once that happens. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Um, okay, and then I guess the last thing is, how has that program helped you? Like, what's been the most beneficial part of the program for you so far?
Mm. The, what I've learned the most from the program is really to take initiative of my own education and of my future. So although like my parents will help me, they can't write my essays for me. They can't be applying for the scholarships that I want. They can't put in that work. That's work that I have to put in. So throughout the program, I've learned to like really like I have to be setting aside time. Like I do have to be setting aside time, like a certain time, to actually write those essays, because it's me like that needs to meet those deadlines. Like even though like the grant me team does edit essays, we still need to hand them in on time. So if we're not handing them in on time, like by the deadlines, like we won't be able to get them
Edited.
edited on time. So it's really like up to us to really make sure that we are trying our best to make sure our applications are complete. So yeah, I think it really starts with us. And also like now that like I've won, but like for instance, if I didn't win, like even just like taking initiative, like learning that, I'm much more prepared for next year. I think in university, I'm much more relaxed now. I'm like, I think like I can do this, and like there have been like some webinars and some of the modules in the program that kind of talk more about like university life, and I think that's really great, because a lot of the times like university, like I talk to my high school friends about it, but in reality we honestly don't know anything. The information that we know is not really valid. So yeah, it's been really nice talking to like actual like university students or like graduated students um about like universities.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's really great that you like pointed that out, that you feel more prepared. And oh my gosh, your confidence is like very different than like when I, even talked to you at like the beginning of the program. So like I actually see what you're saying, because I could see like you feel more confident, you're like more relaxed, probably a little less stressed, which is good, because you can finish the year and graduate, with like a little bit less of that stress that you've been feeling. And I think that's awesome. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to ask you. I guess one thing that I want to say for students that get a chance to watch this is like Salwa really is the type of student that we want to work with, because for us it makes it it really makes it makes it fun, as some of our other students have put it, when we get the opportunity to work with students who are motivated, you know, who are like committed to the process and like who are out to like achieve success. And like Salwa, even your communication with us, like we've talked a lot, right? And your communication has been like really great. And that makes it possible for us to like help you in the best way. And so, and your involvement, oh my gosh, like you've done so many incredible things, and it's something that, you know, deserves to be rewarded. And it's really, you know, you taking advantage of those opportunities that you have in every way. And so for us, it's like it's very proud, like a proud moment when we get to see students have the success that you've had. And like what's even more exciting is like to get to watch what you're going to be able to do next. Because like we just said, like this is what you did in 1 year, and you're not even done the year yet. You still have like 2 or 3 months left, right? And then you get to do this for the next 5 years, and we get to watch that journey of you growing. And like that, to me, honestly, is like the most important thing, and like a really proud thing for me to get to watch. So we feel really fortunate to have students in the program like Salwa, and tons of other students like Salwa as well that are just awesome students, but first and foremost, like incredible people, which is awesome. Okay, I think that's everything, Salwa. Thank you so much for being on and for sharing with us, and I really appreciate your time.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. I really hope like other students are able to see the value of the program and join the program and succeed in the program, because you can succeed.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much, Salwa.